Ah, numbers. At last, precision and science. No more weirdness with paradigms or the dark musings of a long-dead neo-Marxist Italian to confuse the issues at hand. Numbers are precise and tell us things. Well, maybe not. As my favorite philosopher sings, it ain't necessarily so. On the other hand, there are lots of numbers around in library land. Libraries are full of things that can be counted. Lots of people come in the door and they can be counted. Lots of people don't come in the door and maybe they should be counted as well. We put all of the above in different categories and start comparing and creating ratios of this to that, and pretty soon we think we know something. Sometimes we actually do know things. Numbers are good down at the left-hand side of the spectrum of truth that I included in last week's lecture. We have lots of control over the little t end of that spectrum, and it's comfortable to have control. You will remember, however, that I suggested that the large T end of the spectrum lies closer to answers that really matter. Still, we have to deal with the numbers. The research literature in library land is heavy laden with numbers, and people will use numbers to prove that thus and so a policy is the correct one for us to use. You may replay Spartan Life's song in your head now. A bit downstream in the course, we'll be looking at assorted standards for libraries, some of which make extensive use of numbers. If you are going to be dealing with these standards when you are real librarians, it is best to have an idea of what the numbers are all about. Statistics, or the realm we are about to inhabit for a while in this course, are useful, but they may also be wildly misused or misunderstood. I do not aim to, nor can I make statisticians out of you. I barely know what I'm doing myself. What I can do is give you some tools and install a healthy dose of skepticism that you will need if somebody starts being a statistics bully when you are running your own library. As I suggest in the textual part of the lecture this week, statistics is a lot like peeling an onion. We have to deal with the relatively simple stuff on the outside before we can move into the esoterica in the middle. Hence, we must understand basic descriptive statistics before we can move on to glorious things like multiple regression or analysis of variance, neither of which I'm going to inflict upon you. A few cautionary notes. There are formulas involved in this. Think of them as a shorthand way of explaining how to manipulate the numbers involved. There is nothing in here that you did not learn, or at least I hope you learned, by the time you finished high school. The most complicated thing here are squares and square roots. Using formulas does require that you be organized, methodical, and check everything as you go along. Onward.